Welcome back to part 2 of our EX3 Pirates pitchers, and this one will be short. We're just going to practice a little bit and just kind of review to reinforce what we did the first time. We created a second table that's a child of the parent, and we're just going to make another one. And we're going to go back to players, and here's our players, and we're just going to make another one. We have a lot of infielders, so we're just going to use infielders. So we're going to create a table called infielders. And to do that, we need to go to our database. And when we go to our database, when we click on it, the first thing it does is it shows you the tables that are in here, and it gives you a place to create a table. So we're going to call one called infielders. And before I tried to create one called IF, and I had a problem writing queries because it kind of conflicted with using if in the query language. So make sure that you don't use anything that kind of conflicts with keywords. So I'm going to call this infielders, and that's what they are. We have pitchers, now we have infielders, and I'm going to do it the same way. I'm just going to put 3 columns, and again, this is just to review, and we're just going to hit go. And the next step here is just do the same thing. We're just going to use ID, and you could make it 11 right away, and then we're going to do first, and make sure you do the varchar, and we're going to do last, and make sure you do the varchar, and you could do 33, just because I don't think we need to put anything in there. It'll default to 255 if we don't do that, but putting 33 is fine for names. And the only thing that we have to remember to do is when you scroll over for the first one for the ID is we're going to make this unique. So we'll just select on unique, and I don't know if we have to do anything here. We could just let that go for now. And that's all we want to do. So we just want to save. So we just created now we created our columns. Now we didn't make it relational yet, but we did create our columns, and there's nothing in infielders yet. You can see there's 0 rows there. So what we want to do is we want to go to infielders, and we want to go to structure, because this shows the structure for our columns, and we want to go to relation view. And this is where we want to set up our foreign key. So if I go in here, I'll go to ID, and I'll just choose infielders, because that's kind of the relation of what we'll call it. And the foreign key should be from players, because that's where we're getting our ID. It's going to be from players. That's their parent. So this is the child, this is the parent. And we can also do cascade here. If you leave it on restrict, I don't think it lets you delete anything. And you don't need a constraint name, and they're not asking for index here, but we'll just call them infielders just so they all have a consistent name. So the internal relation, that's how they'll be related inside there. And we don't need a column to display, at least right now. And that's all you should have to do. So we set up our foreign key so that we're matching up the ID from the original parent table. I'll hit save. And you want to see green, so everything's okay. And then we're also going to go back into the infielders table now. And I'm going to go to SQL because we have nothing in there. We're going to go to SQL. And if you copied it before, you could put it in, or we could try to do this. We could try to just, maybe you just want to type it in. It's insert into, and it's select from, and it's where. So let's just try to do that without copying and pasting and just seeing how we do. We're going to do select into, and we're selecting into infielders. That's the table we're putting them into. Infielders, that's where we're in. Remember, this is our database, this is our table, and in parentheses we're going to put our field names, and we could throw in ID and then a comma and then first and then a comma and then last, and on the next line what are we going to put? Select. Probably we're going to put from. Let's see if I got that right. No, select. So we got to select what we're doing before we say from. So we're going to do select, and what are we going to select? We're going to select ID, comma, first, comma, and then last, and we're selecting them from players. Now notice here I didn't use these little accents when you double click there. That's fine. As long as you type it correctly, you can use ID, comma, first, comma, last, comma, as long as you type it correctly. And then for my last line here, I'm going to put my condition, which is going to be where, and it's going to be POS equals, and then I'll use single quotes, and it was IF is what we had on there for indicating infield. So we're going to use IF, and then I'll end it with a semicolon. And I can copy this again, but I just wanted to go through that just to kind of get my brain around where this is going. So I'm selecting into that table using these columns, and then this is the select. These are the columns that I'm going to select from the players table, and then I'm throwing an extra condition in here. So everything should be ready to go, so I'm going to hit go. I'm not sure how many, and I got an error. Insert into. I did select into. I screwed it up right from the beginning. So it's insert into. And that's why I do this. That's why I wanted to do it by heart, just to see if I'd remember it. And of course, I didn't. So it's insert into. You might have been watching me doing that, saying, what are you doing? So it's insert into. And there's nothing wrong with having an error here. That's how we learn. So it's insert into, not select. And I guess what confused me, because this is called insert into select. So it's just the way that the name is set up. So insert into. And again, we're putting in that table. Everything seems okay now, so I'm going to hit go again. And now that's what we want. We want green. We want a checkbox. And I'm going to check out my infielders now. And they should all be my infielders. Now, I didn't display the position here. These are all the infielders. Johnny Ray, Dale Bear. And if I clicked on one of these and I want to see anything about them, I could basically click on their name, or I could click on their ID, and it should show me. There it is, John Milner, infield. He's telling me all the stats that he has. So now we have an infielders one. So that's all we need, and that's all we really need to do with this assignment. Just wanted to get started with relational databases in kind of a basic way, you know, just creating basic child tables of parents. So players is our parent table, pitchers, infielders, and there's a lot of different things we could do. You can see we could insert from different tables. We can import from other CSV files, all kinds of things that we'll be able to do. But this is all we have to do right now. So you don't have to delete anything here. The only thing that you had to delete was in the pitchers. You had to delete the last two pitchers. The first time you wanted to delete the bottom pitcher from the pitcher list, the pitcher table, and then you actually deleted the next pitcher from that was left in the pitchers table. You deleted them from the players just to see how they cascaded when they got deleted. But you don't have to do anything here except just make sure that you know how to create an infielders table that's related to that database, and that's all you really have to do. So I'll be able to go in and look at this and click on your link and see your database. You don't have to submit anything really. So that's all you have to do for EX3, and I'll get to work on EX4 for you so you don't have to wait as long as you did in between 2 and 3.